For years, Orlando Brown has been dismissed by the mainstream as a man lost in a mental health crisis. However, as the public's understanding of Hollywood's dark secrets shifts, many of what he talked about has become increasingly true.
Don't you ever think that that's cool? That was the first setup, bro. You then turned me into a kid. You feel me? Took my house, took all my shit, start raping family members and all kind of shit, bro. You a up person, my nigga. You a up person. Yes, Will Smith is Michael Jackson, my got me up, bro.
Will Smith and Michael Jackson did what? And get this, allegedly, Orlando has also been hinting that those infamous underground tunnels at Michael Jackson's house were real. Now, we all know that in the last couple of years, Orlando has been quite a handful. For starters, in 2016, he was arrested twice on charges of DV, obstruction of justice, drug possession with the intent to sell, and possession of contraband in jail. 2 years later, Orlando appeared on Dr. Phil and opened up about his struggles with addiction and mental health. But the highlight of the interview was when he literally failed to remember the names of his children and said that his 2-year-old was still in the belly.
What I said was, I have a lot of kids, but I'll say I'll have 4 right now. That's exactly what I said. So me, as a father, is still trying to jump back into that life and figure out who everybody is. You can't ridicule me for not knowing exactly.
I'm not ridiculing you.
All right, well, yeah, because I mean, of course I'm gonna make a mistake if I haven't seen my kids. They were taken from me.
But how long has it been since you've seen these kids?
Bro, honestly, I see my kids everywhere. But at the end of the day, like I said, I barely see them, I don't know them.
But then we also know him for the wild allegations he's made about people like Will Smith and Michael Jackson. I won't go deep into what he said about Will and the things we've heard about Will Smith, but when it comes to MJ, Orlando has previously claimed Michael Jackson was a father figure, or even his biological father, claiming his name is Orlando Brown Prince Michael Jackson Jr., and strangely compared himself to Michael Jackson.
If you compare your career to somebody, who would it be?
Michael Jackson. That's me.
Never.
You're a liar.
What?
Lying.
I don't know what those gestures were, but in his more erratic rants, Orlando mentioned being trapped, which some fans interpreted as an allusion to being held in secret locations, possibly in those alleged underground Michael Jackson tunnels. What I can tell you about these alleged tunnels is that guests have confirmed that Neverland contains several unconventional architectural elements, though many were designed for Michael Jackson's desire for privacy or his fascination with Peter Pan themes. Actually, workers at his former New York City townhouse also reported finding small passageways connecting various rooms, though some architectural historians suggest these may have been original 19th century servant passages designed to keep staff out of sight. So maybe the tunnels were there, but whether they were being used for what MJ was being accused of, I don't know. But if you ask Orlando, he will tell you that the tunnels were being used for whatever he was accusing Will Smith of doing. And you know he's also made similar allegations with regards to Diddy. The thing is, he was in the middle of an interview when he acknowledged that Chris Brown is talented, but mentioned he hadn't listened to his album at the time. Then he strongly disagreed with the frequent comparisons between Chris Brown and Michael Jackson, stating that people use Michael's name too lightly. He also emphasized Michael's unique mystique and old-time Hollywood swag that set him apart from modern artists. Then the next thing we knew, Orlando adopted what he called his Diddy mode and spoke directly to the camera, making the most insane allegations.
You gave me the ooshkash koosmash. You gave me the ooshkash muaf, the smooshmash. Diddy. Yeah, son. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? You gave me the ooshkash muash. I love it, yo. I love it. You gave me the ooshkash muash.
Also, in a different instance, Orlando previously made similar essay allegations against Nick Cannon. But is it possible that he's just making claims, or could there be truth to all these insane claims? On one hand, some people are pointing to his erratic behavior, disjointed speech, and the sheer gravity of his claims against high-profile figures as evidence of a mental health crisis. I mean, it's possible that these allegations represent a tragic cry for help from a former child star who may be suffering from untreated psychological issues or the long-term long-term effects of substance use, leading many to call for a professional psychiatric evaluation. However, other people are also looking at his outbursts through the lens of deep-seated trauma rather than simple delusion. If Orlando Brown truly experienced the dark underbelly of the entertainment industry, his current state might be a manifestation of complex PTSD. This could literally just be a way for him to speak his truth after years of suppression, and maybe, just maybe, the bizarre nature of his delivery shouldn't automatically invalidate the potential reality of his experiences. Plus, have you seen the people he has mentioned? Nick Cannon, Diddy, Will Smith, Michael Jackson. One way or the other, all these people have had to deal with some pretty disturbing allegations. Now, when it comes to Michael Jackson, we know that before and even after his death in 2009, Michael Jackson was the subject of multiple accusations and police investigations, as well as civil and criminal lawsuits. There was even a bombshell documentary, Leaving Neverland, which is a 4-hour film that follows James Safechuck and Wade Robson as they recount the alleged treatments at the hands of Michael Jackson when they were young.
Interesting things about Michael and his particular situation is that the grooming had started long before we ever met him. You know, because he was who he was. He was such a massive figure and represented himself as such an angel. And you know, I didn't have a childhood, and I love children so much. That's why I love being around children. I want to help other children have a childhood. So long before ever meeting him the first time, so much had been set up already that I was, and I think my mother, my whole family was already surrendered.
Of course, it didn't help that Michael's sister LaToya also said that the accusations were true. There was an old interview that resurfaced in the wake of HBO's Leaving Neverland, in which LaToya was at a press conference telling reporters that she could not and would not be a silent collaborator of his crimes. She also claimed that her mother had shown her checks in very, very large amounts that had been made out to the parents. Then she added that as a survivor herself, she could not, in good conscience, keep silent about the behavior her brother was accused of.
I don't want to see any more innocent small children being affected this way. I love Michael very dearly, but I feel even more sorry for these children because they don't have a life anymore. They don't. Now you stop and you think for 1 second and you tell me what 35-year-old man is going to take a little boy and stay with him for 30 days and take another boy and stay with him for 5 days in a room and never leave the room. How many of you out there are 35 years old? How many men are out there? How many would take little kids and do that are 9, 10, 11 years old?
Also, let's not forget that Michael Jackson was named in the Epstein files. The thing is, Michael was mentioned during the testimony of witness Johanna Sjoberg. When Johanna was asked whether she met anyone famous at Epstein's personal residence in Palm Beach, she said that she had met Michael Jackson. So what people were asking was, what possibly could MJ have been doing at the place that was the hub of all the shady things taking place? Okay, I also know that there have been reports that Mike was framed, especially after, in 1995, someone from Canada came forward claiming that he was SA'd by Michael Jackson, and he gave all kinds of salacious details about his interaction and was able to give authorities all kinds of credible information. However, during interviews with the police, the person broke down and confessed that he had made the whole story up and that he had never even met Michael Jackson. As it turned out, he was coached by a gentleman named Rodney Allen, who was also a Canada resident. Then, 4 years later, in 1999, Rodney Allen was convicted of the same things Michael was being accused of, and a jury found him guilty of all counts. So yeah, it's possible that Michael was framed. And he also talked about the fact that some pretty powerful people wanted him unalived so that they could own his catalogs.
The record companies really, really do conspire against their artists. They steal, they cheat, they do whatever they can, especially the black artists. Sony Tommy Mottola. Tommy Mottola is the president of the record division. He is a mean, he's a racist, and he's very, very, very devilish.
In fact, we've even had family members say that they believe this is the reason why he was seemingly unalived. I mean, someone like Mike's sister LaToya said there was definitely something fishy about her brother's death, and that Conrad Murray was just the fall guy. And she also said that Michael told her that he felt his life was in danger because they wanted his catalogs.
I am an innocent man. I therefore plead not guilty. Thank you.
I truly feel that Conrad Murray is simply the fall guy. This was definitely something that was premeditated,
that they had planned to do, and they planned to take my brother out, and my brother knew it. And that's why he told me repeatedly and repeatedly and repeatedly that this was going to happen to him. He explained it to me. He explained it's because of my catalog, which is my publishing, and they're after it, and they want it, and they want their hands on it, and they want to take it away from me. So Michael developed this love-hate relationship.
Michael actually also talked about what he was going through in a diary that made rounds after his death. First of all, Michael made a number of revelations about hopes of being immortalized, saying that what he really wanted was to be immortalized as a big screen idol after his death. He wanted Broadway theater producers to create a play about his life so he could become the first multi-billionaire entertainer, actor, director. In addition, Mike also wrote in there about how he depended on his now discredited doctor Conrad Murray to administer the prescription drugs that helped him to sleep, and he also planned to launch a line of merchandise, including soda and cookies, according to the diary. Entries from the diary also revealed that Michael wanted to earn $20 million a week, and while thinking about how he could raise that money, Michael wrote about the possibility of holding Cirque du Soleil concerts and having contracts with well-known brands such as Nike. But then something else that also came out pretty clearly in the secret diary was that Mike was being stalked by someone who wanted to unalive him, and he thought someone was planning to, quote, destroy him. He wrote, "Evil people everywhere. They want to destroy me and take over my publishing company. The system wants to destroy me for my catalog. I'm not selling it." So again, maybe Mike was actually being framed, and maybe Orlando is just casually repeating what is already out there. But regardless, people are increasingly wondering if what looks like madness is actually the raw, unpolished result of a life spent in an industry known for its systemic issues. But whether his claims are literal, metaphorical, or a product of a fractured psyche, the fact remains that there is a deep level of pain present, and I'd love to know your thoughts on his outbursts. Given that his other stars recently admitted that some of what he says is true, how much more of his unhinged rants are actually grounded in reality? I don't know, guys, but let me know what you think, especially about the claims on Michael Jackson, in the comments section below.